Immanuel Kant was born on April 22, 1724 in Königsberg, Prussia, now Kaliningrad, Russia. He came from a poor family, and received a strict education, in a pietist household. Despite financial struggles, he was able to attend university, and eventually became a professor of philosophy at the University of Königsberg. Throughout his life, Kant was known for his strict routine and solitary lifestyle. He rarely left Königsberg and spent much of his time reading and writing. He produced numerous works in philosophy, including his famous Critique of Pure Reason in 1781, which established him as a leading figure in Enlightenment thought. Kant's works emphasized the importance of reason and moral duty, and his ideas had a profound influence on subsequent philosophers, including Friedrich Nietzsche and Søren Kierkegaard. Despite his isolation, Kant corresponded with many prominent intellectuals of his time, and was recognized for his contributions to philosophy during his lifetime. Kant passed away on February 12, 1804, at the age of 79, leaving behind a legacy as one of the most important figures in the history of Western philosophy. Duty is the essence of morality. Reason is the source of morality. The moral law is universal and necessary. The highest good is the goodwill. Happiness is not an absolute value. Freedom is the condition of morality. The moral law is a priori. The categorical imperative. Actions are morally good only if they are done out of respect for the moral law. A goodwill is the only thing that is unconditionally good. Morality is not based on happiness. Virtue is the harmony of natural inclinations and moral principles. Only moral worth is good in itself. The moral law is independent of individual inclinations. The moral law applies to all rational beings. The moral law is not derived from human nature. The moral law is not a matter of feeling. The moral law is not based on utility. Moral principles must be universalizable. The moral law is not based on custom or tradition. Morality requires self-reflection. The principle of justice. The principle of respect for persons. The principle of universal dignity. The principle of the kingdom of ends. The moral law requires self-improvement. The moral law requires courage. The moral law requires compassion. The moral law requires humility. The moral law requires forgiveness. The moral law requires gratitude. The moral law requires honesty. The moral law requires respect for property. The moral law requires promises to be kept. The moral law requires respect for truth. The moral law requires respect for others. The moral law requires impartiality. The moral law requires impartial treatment of all rational beings. The moral law requires us to avoid causing unnecessary harm. The moral law requires us to promote the greatest happiness for the greatest number.